When was the first time you stood up to your parents? I was 15 when I finally found my voice, and it happened over something as stupid as a school dance. My parents had this ridiculous rule that I couldn't date until I was 18. Not just no boyfriends, no talking to boys, no sitting with them at lunch, no group activities that included the opposite gender. They'd enrolled me in an all-girls Catholic school specifically to avoid temptation, as Mom called it. When winter formal was announced, every girl in my class was buzzing with excitement. For weeks, it was all anyone talked about. Who would ask who? What dress would they wear? I listened from the sidelines, knowing I'd never be allowed to go. Then Damian Murphy asked me. He was sweet, quiet, and played violin in the school orchestra. We'd been paired for a community service project with the neighboring boys' school, and he'd walked me to my car every day after tutoring sessions. When he finally worked up the courage to ask, his hands were shaking. "I know it's probably impossible," he said, "but would you maybe want to go to the dance with me?" I wanted to say yes so badly it physically hurt. Instead, I told him I'd have to ask my parents, knowing full well what the answer would be. That night at dinner, I brought it up casually. "So, there's this school dance coming up." Dad didn't even let me finish. "Absolutely not. You know the rules. But it's just one night. The answer is no, Bristol. End of discussion." Mom nodded along like a bobblehead. "You'll thank us when you're older." For 3 days, I watched Damian's hopeful glances turn into disappointed acceptance. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I marched into the living room where my parents were watching their nightly news program. "I'm going to the dance," I announced. Dad muted the TV and turned to stare at me. "Excuse me?" I said I'm going to the dance. With Damian. This Saturday. Mom's mouth fell open. "Bristol Marie, you will do no such thing." "Actually, I will." My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I've never asked for anything. I get straight A's, I do my chores, I volunteer at church every weekend. I'm 15 years old and I've never even held a boy's hand. Dad stood up, his face turning red. "That's exactly the point. We're protecting you." "From what?" I interrupted, something I'd never done before. "From having one normal teenage experience? From dancing in a supervised gymnasium surrounded by teachers? Don't you raise your voice at us," Mom snapped. "Then don't treat me like a prisoner." The words exploded out of me. "Do you know what it's like being the only girl in my class who can't talk to boys? Who has to lie and say I'm busy when everyone else is making friends?" Dad took a step toward me. "You're grounded. Go to your room." "No." The word hung in the air like a challenge. "What did you just say?" Dad's voice was deadly quiet. "I said no. I'm not going to my room and I'm not missing this dance. If you want to punish me afterward, fine. But I'm going." For a moment, nobody moved. Then Dad lunged toward me, probably planning to physically drag me upstairs. But I stood my ground. "Touch me and I'll call child services," I said calmly. "Sister Margaret gave us the number last week during health class." He froze. "I'm going to the dance," I repeated. "I already bought a dress with my babysitting money. Damian's picking me up at 7. That Saturday, I went to winter formal. It was magical, exactly like I'd imagined. Damian was a perfect gentleman, and we danced to every slow song. When he dropped me off, my parents were waiting in the living room. I expected screaming, punishment, maybe even being sent to military school. Instead, Mom looked up with something like respect in her eyes. "How was it?" she asked quietly. "Perfect," I said. Dad cleared his throat. "We need to talk about adjusting some rules." That was the night I learned that sometimes standing up for yourself doesn't destroy relationships. It improves them.